morning, I'm Frank Powers, and this is Lifestyle Tucson, the program where I speak to our neighbors, the people behind the scenes of our amazing organizations that are 501c3 nonprofits. Our friends are informing you how they serve our community, and they're here to give you updates on future projects. Let's make some old friends today. Let's fight cancer today on Lifestyle Tucson while hanging out with a cool chick. Tucson Chicks and Chaps is helping women, men, and families who are affected by breast cancer, founded by a small group of Montanans whose lives had been profoundly impacted by breast cancer and who are passionate about the sport of rodeo and its heritage. Chicks and Chaps has forged its mission from their experiences and dedication. They are going to be at the 101st La Fiesta de los Vaqueros, the Tucson Rodeo, February 21st through March 1st. And they're going to be having a big event there, the Tucson Rodeo, celebrating the 13th annual Behind the Chutes fundraiser, February 22nd from 7:30 a.m. till 1 p.m. Let's saddle up because today I'm fortunate enough to speak with Vice Chair of Tucson Chicks and Chaps, Courtney Slanaker. Courtney, welcome back to Lifestyle Tucson.
Thanks so much for having us on.
I'm very excited that you're here because I've been covering the rodeo for the last bunch of years. I get to be the MC at the rodeo parade. It's my favorite thing.
How exciting.
Yes. So I love the Tucson Rodeo. It's a big event, but it's a big event that really encompasses a lot of other events because it goes on for such a long time. We get the day off of school here in Tucson, which is nice, but there's a lot of fun stuff happening, and I'm trying to talk to kind of every facet of the whole event by speaking with the heads of different chapters of what's going on. And something that you do there is real important that I've always talked about, but only a little bit. And it's Tucson Chicks and Chaps. So this is a great 501c3 organization. Tell me all about it and what you're all about when it comes to doing it here in Tucson.
Yeah, thanks so much, Frank. We're so excited to be here, and it's our 13th annual major fundraiser with the Tucson Rodeo. They've been a phenomenal partner over the last 13 years. But Tucson Chicks and Chaps was founded by a group of women here locally that had been intimately impacted by breast cancer. They're also intimately involved in the rodeo, generations of rodeo goers, rodeo competitors, and women that really just celebrate the Western lifestyle. And so Tucson Chicks and Chaps combines exactly that, learning about the Western lifestyle and the sport of rodeo while also raising funds for women and families impacted by breast cancer. Because we know, breast cancer doesn't just impact the person that was diagnosed. It impacts their entire network, their family, their friends. When we look at breast cancer treatment and a diagnosis, it's not just the treatment of the disease, right? It's the economic impact on women and their families. It's the emotional toll, not to mention all the physical things that happen, but it really does impact the full person. And by raising money and raising more year over year, we can hopefully alleviate some of those burdens.
Yeah, it's been growing constantly because even the Tucson Rodeo itself keeps growing. And that's important to see and to watch. Sold out last year. So it's a lot of people that get to come to this event and have an opportunity to learn from your organization, to get involved with it, and to learn how it might affect people in our community and their lives. Because the other thing that's right there in the title and all in caps is it's helping women and men, because men do get overlooked when it comes to breast cancer, but it does happen in men, just a lot less statistically. So it's really important to include them in it. I talked to a great organization called Pints for Pink because he was a guy that started an organization that helps out men suffering from breast cancer, because it does affect everybody, as you say, because we're a family. You're a family. It's not just you that's going to get affected. It's going to be your kids. It's going to be your relatives, because now you're going to be dealing with something, and hopefully not something life-threatening, something treatable. Right?
Exactly. And you said family, and that's when you think about the Tucson Rodeo Committee and the Tucson Foundation and the Parade Committee and the museum. It's a big family. Everybody's connected. Everybody supports one another. It's a really huge event to put on. And when you think about the people putting it on, they're volunteering their time. It really is remarkable. And the rodeo really has been instrumental in involving other organizations into the rodeo itself, right? It's not just about the competition, right? It's about the full community. And the Tucson Rodeo brings all of us together to do just that. Not only enjoy all the different events at the rodeo, all the different vendors and the food and all the good stuff, but bringing together the full community to support those critical organizations.
Heck yeah. So let me ask you this much, because one of the biggest, most important things I always ask for, are you looking for volunteers?
We are looking for all things. I will shamelessly plug that Tucson Chicks and Chaps can use volunteers. We can use donations. We'd love for you to come join us, buy a ticket. There's different ways for people to give back, right? And we look at it just like any other nonprofit. Give your time, your talent, or your treasure. And so try to join us for one of those things. We're a volunteer-led organization. We have no paid staff here in Southern Arizona. So everything that you see is done by volunteers, from building the website to putting the event on. We're all volunteers. So if you want to get involved, volunteering is a great time. We need people that are dedicated to doing the work, right? And I don't want head nodders. I want doers. We need people that can get down and dirty, dust their boots off, and really contribute to a meaningful organization. And if you don't have the time, right, because there's so many worthy organizations that need the support, make a donation. It is tax deductible. We are a registered 501c3 nonprofit. You can donate a little bit of your treasure. Again, we're volunteer led, so all of our money goes directly to our beneficiary, Arizona Foundation for Cancer, where they provide those wraparound services to patients. And that's one thing that we really looked at as an organization is how do we support the full person, not just the diagnosis, but all the challenges that come, like you're spending more money on gas and travel to appointments. You don't have the energy to clean your house. So maybe getting a house cleaner will alleviate some of those burdens. And the foundation really looks at that. So they provide gas cards, and they provide free wigs, and they provide house cleaning services for our friends that have to travel from different parts of Southern Arizona to get treatment here in Tucson, hotel accommodations, things like that. These are all, the economic cost to cancer is tremendous. And it's not something that everybody talks about. We always talk about the medical side of it, but really the economic cost is huge. And when you're worried about trying to heal yourself and treat, cancer, and then you have to worry about paying your bills, like it's overwhelming. And so if we can alleviate a little bit of that through direct fundraising, hopefully we're making an impact in someone's life.
Yeah. I mean, not even just that, but how about just someone's going to come and clean the bathroom for you? That's really nice.
Exactly. When you don't have energy and you're just fighting, like take those simple things that turn into really big challenges off their plate, right? So that they can really just focus on treatment and healing. I think I love that about the foundation. They're hands-on. They really have a one-on-one approach with each patient and family. And so when you visit the foundation, when you get services from them, it's those wraparound services that aren't included, right, with healthcare, that are really critical for people to give the good fight.
Again, I just sit here and I'm moved because there's things that you don't think about that even as you're saying them so fast, like wigs. Like, that's really important because, A, wigs are expensive. We're not trying to get no Spencer Gifts wigs at Halloween for $20.
Exactly.
It's really like such an important part of what it can still be to feel like your whole self and not feel sick by looking sick, by being able to give these people, these ladies, like a brand new wig that means that you get to move forward because you might not have been able to afford that. And you don't have to feel, I don't want to use the wrong words, but any shame because you have an illness.
Exactly. Yeah, and when you walk into the Arizona Foundation for Cancer, you have this one-on-one experience. Wendy's the executive director there, a phenomenal individual, and she tells you stories about, families that actually come in, right, to support their loved one, to pick a wig, and they come in and they're all, somewhat somber and feeling really nervous. They probably have a lot of anxiety, and they leave. Many of them leave with a smile on their face because they got something that makes them feel good. We don't talk about vanity when we talk about illness, but it's such an important part of your being, right? Like what you look like, your identity is built around that. And some people can call that vain. I don't call it vain. Like it's so important that when you look good, you feel good, right? Yeah. If you feel shame about the way you look, like you're just living in a really terrible spot. And so to bring a smile to someone's face where they can build that confidence back up, I think that's a gift that really there's no cost to that I can think of. So I will shamelessly guilt people into making a donation.
Have no shame.
No
this is
shame.
Lifestyle Tucson. That's what we're all about. If you can't donate time, donate your money. That's
donate your money. Right? And if it's not Tucson Chicks and Chaps, find an organization. I mean, many of us can spare some dollars, right? And so I think look at your priorities, and I'm going to forego maybe a a couple Starbucks here and there, but knowing that my donation supports somebody in true need, I think you can't put a price tag on that.
Yeah. So tell me about the Arizona Foundation for Cancer, because that's important to realize that you are funneling what you get to this great bigger organization.
Yes. So
Okay.
I'm so glad you asked. I think a lot of people say, oh, well, why are you raising money to just donate it to somebody else? And when you look at your nonprofits that are providing direct services, fundraising is a huge amount of time and resources to bring those dollars in. So when I think about Tucson Chicks and Chaps, we're alleviating a little bit of their financial and fundraising burden by fundraising on their behalf.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more money we can raise, the less they have to worry about providing the financial resources to their organization. They can just worry about providing direct service to their patients. So I look at it like, hey, if I can take a little bit of their fundraising burden off their plate so that they can truly just focus on direct services to patients, we will be doing a great job. So year over year, if fundraising can always outpace inflation, we'll be doing a good job. So I want to see that our fundraising is growing year over year so that we continue to support the foundation. Again, so that those organizations that are providing direct service to patients can worry about that and not worry about, do they have the funds to provide these services? So the more money that we can raise for them, I think the more time they can spend worrying about patients.
That's amazing, because honestly, take from a guy who talks to 501c3s professionally, and there are some times where I'll get an email or you meet someone and they're starting one, or they want to start one, or they have just started one, but they're suffering and they're not succeeding, or they're only a year old, but this is no one's attention. It's like, yes, you should have joined one. There are really big organizations doing the work that you want to do, but a lot of people really like to design a logo and make a hat, and then they don't realize the work that it takes to then do it. They should think about doing things like this.
That's a whole nother segment, Frank, that we can totally dive into, but I totally agree with you. There's, Tucson has like the most nonprofits per capita.
Yes, Arizona does.
Arizona does.
It's insane.
And so when you think about, supporting a mission, it does probably exist out there. Find it, make it better, join it, collaborate. Making a nonprofit is not as easy as just getting an EIN from the state and from the IRS. I mean, you have to financially sustain the organization. And so, I'm a firm believer. There's an organization out there, join it, get on their board, propose a collaboration, a partnership. You start to see really beautiful things happen when you get those alliances or those collaborations coming together. No one organization can do it themselves here. And so, Tucson Chicks and Chaps, we're just a small part of the foundation's support, right? They've got support from all other avenues, but, our goal is to raise more money so that they can provide more and better services. Talking to Wendy, she's seeing more patients, more needs than ever before. And unfortunately, you're seeing people diagnosed younger and younger with cancer. People, small children at home. I mean, people that are, single families. The need is great. And like any nonprofit, you've got an infinite amount of needs and a finite amount of resources. So our work is to keep raising funds and find new partners, find new funders, and connect them to the organizations that are doing direct service.
Heck yeah. Let's remind people to yet again get involved. You can go to Tucson Chicks N Chaps. So there's the N in there. So TucsonChicksandChaps.org, and then click that Get Involved link, because it's right there to get involved. And that is also where you can make an impact by donating right there. There's also links to sponsor the events and get tickets, or just like I said, volunteer. So get involved. And remember, if you do that recurring payment, that's something they can count on. It almost works like a paycheck.
There
so
you
it's
go.
something to really consider. If you've got that $10 a month, just put that recurring payment instead of doing one lump sum, and it might be something that they appreciate even more, and it goes a little further. So it's very important to just touch on that topic again, to join something that you believe in, because there's a lot of organizations and 501c3s in town, and they are aging out. And you need to get involved if you're a young person in something that has affected your life, because these organizations are not going to survive or thrive specifically if they don't have younger folks joining them. So go get involved, because you want to help save lives, and this is a way to do it. It really is.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And that's that's a shout out to every organization in town to get involved. And your involvement doesn't have to be a 40-hour-a-week commitment like we see with some of our volunteers now. There are really small but impactful ways to support something that touches on your heartstrings. So find it, do it, and walk the walk, talk the talk. But if you come to our event, just want to touch on like what you get to experience. So a lot of people come to the rodeo, right? They don't see all the things that are happening behind the scenes. When you come to Chicks and Chaps, you get to learn a lot about the rodeo. You get to ask those hard questions, right? Like, how are the animals cared for? And what happens to the athletes? What happens if there's an injury? And you learn all about the inner workings of rodeo. Like the Tucson Rodeo is an iconic rodeo in the circuit, right? And it's like in the top 25 rodeos in the country. One of the best outdoor rodeos in the country. So you really are visiting an iconic historical institution that is truly unique to Tucson, right? If any of us grew up here, like we always look forward to Tucson rodeo days. We got school off and either you were going skiing or you were going to the rodeo, And so it has a long history of generations here in Southern Arizona, and you can learn intimately about the behind the scenes of it when you come to our event. So
heck yeah, 101 years, kids. So let's get involved. Let me ask you, what else does Tucson Chicks and Chaps do like throughout the year? Once you get past rodeo days and all that stuff, here's March. Obviously, probably take a breather. And then, what do you do throughout the year? Yeah,
we all pass out from like March to May. No, we have small events throughout the year. Our biggest fundraiser is with the Tucson Rodeo, but throughout the year, you'll see us at little boutique Western markets. You'll see us joining some events down in Southern Arizona. Maybe we're in Benson. But our job really is to prepare for our biggest fundraiser and then steward our donors throughout the year. And so we don't have a lot of big events from basically May to September. And honestly, not many people are outside in May to September in Tucson. But we're fundraising year round. And then our committee basically kicks off in September in preparation for the big rodeo. And so you can find us, like I said, at a bunch of small events. There's some Western boutiques that happen up here in Oro Valley. And so we're just grateful to join any of those to share what Tucson Chicks and Chaps does, but also share, like, if you recently got a cancer diagnosis and you're like, holy cow, like, what do I do now? There's some great organizations that we work with. So, of course, Arizona Foundation for Cancer, but then there's Tucson Cancer Conquerors. So if you come to our event, we have a really cool Western fashion show, and all the ladies and gentlemen and even kids in the fashion show are survivors. And they're modeling the latest Western fashion trends, which if you guys keep up with Western fashion, wow, there's been so much happening in the Western fashion world in the last couple of years that you get to check all that out and also get to honor and celebrate those families that have moved into survivorship. And so, yeah, that you just learn about so many different things. We have guest speakers, we have former rodeo contestants. You get to meet our stock contractor, Butler and Sons. They run the broncs, so you get to see the broncs being exercised in the arena before the event even takes off. And so there's just really cool ways to learn about what's happening in your community and learn about ways that you can get involved.
That's great. So fashion show is going to happen. What else is going to happen at the actual rodeo for the week itself? And then there's specifically that one fundraiser from 7 a.m. till 1 p.m. on the 22nd. But what else do you do as far as entertainment and fun things? I know there's the big barn dance. I'm sure you got a big fun time there.
You've got to go to the barn dance. So when you guys visit the rodeo, it's, you have your competitions typically from 2 to 4 p.m., right? Your main event competitions. But you've got the junior rodeo. You have the barn dance. You have all the fun Western vendors and all the great fair food that you can find. There's the museum you can check out. And then, of course, after the opening weekend of rodeo, we have the iconic Tucson Rodeo Parade. And if y'all didn't know, it's one of the longest.
It is the nation's largest non-motorized parade.
Largest non-motor. I think there's one. It's the second in the world. I think there's an elephant parade.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, again, you get to take part in all these really cool events and get to see, it's not just rodeo people, right? When you think about rodeo, a lot of us sometimes like kind of pigeonhole what the audience is. you get to see everyone from the community. When you watch the parade, I love going to the parade. Last year we got to ride in it. You get to see all the different businesses and organizations that are integrated with the rodeo. So again, it's not just about the competition, but it's about all the fun things that happen. You've got Cowboy Church that happens. You can visit the museum and learn about the history of the Tucson Rodeo. The barn dance is super fun, of course. You guys get your boot scoot and boogie on, try out your two-step, dust your boots off. But no, it's a great time, and the rodeo really does. They put on a one-of-a-kind show. I
am really hyped for that parade. Again, I'm the MC of the Tucson Rodeo Parade. We've announced the Grand Marshal, one Chris Edwards of Tucson Appliance Company. I'm going to make sure he does not motorize this parade.
Yes.
He might take a blender and attach it to a car. You never know. But not only that, I got to go to the Rodeo Parade Museum. And this year, we're going to have all of these brand new to us, but vintage circus carts that are in it. It looks like the box of animal crackers is rolling down the street. But we just got donated all of these amazing wagons from the circus from this organization in, I think it was San Francisco, because they were like, because you're actually going to roll them out. We don't want them in a museum. We want them to be out and about. And they've already done. They took them to Benson. They took them to Tombstone. They are gorgeous. They're mirrored. There's one that's got a calliope in it. So it's brand new wagons at this year's Tucson Rodeo Parade, the 101st. And it's going to be something that you haven't seen before, for sure. So colorful, more colorful than it's ever been. So I'm looking forward to that. I also love that I know a lot of these organizations because I host the show. So I get to shout out all these great nonprofits and yell at them, make a bigger stink about them. So that's always so fun. The Tucson Rodeo Parade is perhaps my favorite part of everything. Even before I got involved, I love that Tucson Rodeo Parade. That's what rodeo days are all about.
That's what rodeo days are all about. And all of us that are from here know that we always look forward to February for those rodeo days and to be able to participate in the parade or just get to watch it. And the way they decorate all the wagons and the horses and the mules, it really is a spectacle you don't want to miss.
Heck yeah. So any final thoughts, calls to action, or anything else? Maybe a secret about your organization that we might not know.
Oh my gosh, a secret about our organization. You know, I think a lot of people don't realize, and I said it on air earlier, so maybe it's not a secret in this segment, but is that it's all volunteers. It's all of us donating our time to make the event possible and also raise all the funds. And so, you know, that old myth about, you know, nonprofit overhead, again, another segment for you and I to jump into, but right. You can feel confident knowing anything we raise is going directly to patient care, and that's how we want to keep it. We're fortunate that we have really dedicated volunteers and really dedicated committee members. We have committee members that are breast cancer survivor themselves and doing it because there's a personal story to it. But it's more than that. It's knowing that, you know, 1 in 8 women or men can be impacted by it. And unfortunately, that odd is just too close to us, to each one of us. So the secret is, if you haven't been to rodeo or you're questioning rodeo, come to our event, learn about it. And I think the best way to connect with people and to understand different viewpoints is to put yourself in their shoes. So if you got questions about the rodeo, got questions about how to support someone in breast cancer, I think this is a great place to come learn, step in someone else's shoes. So dust off your boots. Let's wrangle some funds. Let me come up with all the fun Western themes. Let's lasso some funds. Let's wrangle some funds. And let's have a good time together.
I like that thing you said with the 3 T's. What do they do if they want to? What is
Time,
a nonprofit?
Talent, and treasure. So, hey, if you've ever supported a nonprofit, you know that they need those 3 things all the time, and we need it sustainably, right, to ensure our missions keep going. So, donate your time, talent, or treasure, or all 3. Be a triple threat.
There you go. That's the spirit. I love to hear it. Go visit them over at TucsonChicksandChaps.org because today we made friends with Courtney Slanaker, Vice Chair of Tucson Chicks and Chaps. Let's paint the rodeo pink and fight breast cancer at the Tucson Rodeo. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for joining, and yeehaw, folks.
Yeehaw! This was Lifestyle Tucson. Bing bong bing, time for a recap. What a great conversation with Courtney Slanaker. She's a pro. and I really do love talking about all things rodeo. We're having a good time as we count it all down to the 101st La Fiesta de los Vaqueros, the Tucson Rodeo, February 21st at 2 p.m. through March 1st. But remember, there's some days off in between. There's slack days. There's all these fun things going on for 2 weekends, and right there in the middle on the 26th is the Tucson Rodeo Parade. So join me for that. We're going to have a blast. But one big date to, of course, remember is February 22nd from 7:30 a.m. till 1 p.m. That is Tucson Rodeo celebrating the 13th annual Behind the Chutes fundraiser. So that's where you're going to help out this great organization the most, Tucson Chicks and Chaps, always helping out all year long, getting the most attention right around now. You can go get all the info about their organization over at TucsonChicksNChaps.org. That's right, it's just an N, so chicksnchaps.org, and get the details because you want to get involved, you want to help out, you want to be inspired, and you want to find an organization that you believe in. So if any of what we were talking about today maybe affected you or affected someone in your life, let them know about Tucson Chicks and Chaps because yeehaw, they're fighting breast cancer, and it sounds like they're having a good time doing it as a community like most things involving the rodeo do. So I want to thank our new friends at Tucson Chicks and Chaps for joining me today. You've been listening to Lifestyle Tucson. If you're a nonprofit that would like to be on the show, email lifestyletucson@gmail.com. For more information about this program or to listen to something you may have missed, go to the Sunday mornings page on klpx.com, kfma.com, mixfm.com, or espntucson.com. You can also subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and Audible, or wherever fine podcasts are fighting cancer. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, especially at Lifestyle Tucson, because I'm your BFF, your best Frank forever, Frank Powers, and toot toot Tucson. I love you the most.